I'm going to make a baby blanket, and I'm going to do it in pieces, in strips I should say. And what I've done, I'm using baby weight yarn, fingering, but I'm using 2 strands. Okay? So I cast on 30 stitches, close cast on, and every 5th row I'm putting an eyelet. Okay? Get my carriage up over here. Thread my carriage up. And 31, 32. Now, when it bubbles like this, that tells me that I don't have enough weight on it at that point. So what I'll do, whenever I get that little bubble, that's what I refer to it as. Okay, this one didn't stitch all the way. Now if you're using 2 strands, make sure you catch both strands when you go to repair the stitch. Because if you don't, you'll end up with splitting the, it's like splitting a stitch. Okay, and since it was here that I had the issues, that's where I'm going to put my weight. Okay, so row 33. I'm getting ready to do row 35. So I'm going to take this stitch right here, pull it off, and move it over 1. And then I'll bring this back out into the work position with the latch open, and I'll go ahead and stitch that row. Okay? There we go. And knit my 5th row. Just because I didn't move the weight to the very end. Okay, so I'm just going to move this over, and I figure I might as well just bring the rest up. Be a lot easier. Now, as I said, I'm using keyplate 1. And this last one did not stitch, so I'll go ahead and stitch it. Now what I'm doing, I've got my little balls of yarn in an old coffee can, and that's what I'm using to hold my yarn in. Okay, push it all back, and knit the row. And knit the row. And I'm just taking my time. just setting up the stitches that didn't stitch so I can stitch them manually. Okay. And this last one over here. Taking my time. Oops. I forgot to put in the eyelet at the 5th point. So what I'm going to do, let's see. It's got to come down to there. This, put it on there, stitch, and stitch it, and then I'm back on track. Now what I did, whoops, does help if you put this back on the correct hole, which is over here. And this kind of gets pulled around and gets put on there. And what I did is I let this stitch down 2 stitches and held onto the stitch. And I let this down and re-stitched 2 stitches and picked up that one that was on hold. Okay, so that's a 41. Two, 3. Now I'm just using leftover yarn. I'm getting ready to do 5, so I'm moving it over. Oops. And I'm doing it at the 2nd stitch out. And I've chosen to do it on the 2nd stitch because I'm using thinner yarn than the other blanket. Okay, I just figured out what I did wrong. Let me go fix this stitch here, and then I'll tell you. Now make sure you grab them both threads because we're doing 2 strands on there. Oops, wrong one. This one didn't want to. What did this one do? Just kind of twisted there. There we go. And just restitch these. Now, I'll tell you what I did when I get to that end. I'm going to move my weights out. I move them up about every 10 or so when it seems to start to bubble. Okay. Alright, now when you start a row, if you start it like that, it will bubble. For sure. So hold it taut. You know, I'm holding it snug until the first couple of stitches are grabbed. And then you can let loose. Okay, and the same at the other end. Okay, and I'm getting ready to do a 1 divisible by 5. Okay, now I will continue this until I get probably at least 150 to 200 rows done, and I'll be back at that point.